guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Philip, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this very cool tank game on Scratch. And basically, in this game we're going to be using variables, broadcasting, and clones, and more stuff we've learned in the past, including two new functions. So, basically, there's this cool effect when you hit the building. It looks like you hit, but all we actually do is just show like a white sprite. So basically what you have to do is you have to try to hit the other person. If you hit him, you get a point, and it also says I hit. And basically, yeah, it's like a never-ending game, and you can play until whatever the score you want is. So let's get started. Click the create button, and the first thing we're going to do is make a backdrop that will basically just be like an obstacle for the tanks. So let's delete the cat sprite, and basically what we're going to do is get a sprite, copy the sprite, and paste it onto the backdrop. So there it is. I'm going to use the building, and I'm going to use the last costume. So select it, select it, and then copy it, and go to the backdrops, and paste it. And there it is. And then just make it bigger. Not too big to cover the whole screen, but still bigger. Alright, so that's good. And next we're just going to delete the sprite that we got. And we're going to get the tank sprite. So we'll upload a sprite and get the tank sprite that I have ready for before this video. So here it is. I have this green tank. And it's too big, so we'll make it smaller. Let's try 50. Even smaller. Maybe 20. That should be good. And next what we want to do is just move it with the left key and the right key. So when green flag clicked, forever, and then if key. We'll start off with the left arrow. So instead of the left arrow, since the tank is on this side, we're going to be using the keys Z and X. So for the left arrow, it's going to be Z. So if key Z pressed, there it is. If key Z pressed, it will act like the left arrow, so it will change X by, we'll try -5. And copy it, and we'll do the same for X, which will be the right arrow. So make sure it's 5. And then we'll make another if saying, if touching this building, then we just wanted to push it the other way. So since this building is not a sprite, we're going to have to do touching color. So if touching color, and then we'll pick this color. So if touching color, then since it's going by -5, we want to push it. Since it's going by 5, we want to push it -5. So change X by -5. And let's test it. And when we hit that, you can see that it does not let us go any further because it's just pushing us back every time we touch it. And you can see that it moves. Next, we will want to make the cannon its own sprite so that we can change the direction of it. So you can shoot up, down, or like any direction. So we're going to select the cannon and delete it and copy it. And then we will want to make another sprite and paste the cannon. Next, what we want to do is center the left side of the cannon to the middle of this image, because when we'll rotate the cannon, that's the point that we want it to rotate from. So there you go. And next, what we want to do is first we want to just position this cannon at the tank, and let's make sure we make it the same size as the tank. So the tank was 20, so we'll make this 20 as well. So then we want, when green flag clicked, we want it to forever go to tank, and let's test it. And you can see that it's not really in the right position we want. So after it goes to the tank, then we want to change its Y by something, by a value. So change Y by, and we'll try 10. And you can see that is better. So Next, what we're also going to want to do is make it like if certain key is pressed, rotate it. So if, and then since we're on this side, we're going to use Q and A. So if Q, oh, where is it? Here it is. If Q pressed, then we want to turn 5 degrees this way. Duplicate that and do the same for the other side. So it's going to be A. And then we want it to turn the other direction, still 5 degrees. So let's test it. And so the cannon still moves, and that goes along with it, and it goes up and down. Next, we want to make the cannonball move around the screen. So, well, first of all, we have to get the cannonball. So we're just going to paint a sprite, and we're just going to make a circle. So you might want to hold down shift so you can get a perfect circle. So there it is. That's too big. Yeah, you can see on the screen here. It's too big, and we can position it here so we can see if it actually like really looks like it fits through the cannon. That's still a bit too big, and that looks about good. Now we'll change the color too, and we'll make it like, I think we'll make it like kind of a black. Yeah, like a black. And then what we want to do next is we want to move it around the screen. So if you want to move any sprite around the screen, you'll need to change its X and the Y. And like for every step it takes, you'll want to change its X and Y. So we're just going to do exactly that. So for this, we're actually going to be needing 2 variables, one for like the speed of the Y and one for the speed of the X. So let's make it speed Y. We'll start with that. Make sure it's for this sprite only, because each tank will need its own speed Y and speed X, because we're going to be making 2 tanks. Speed X for the sprite only. Okay? And we want to make the cannonball appear whenever a certain key is pressed. So we're going to go to the cannon, and we're going to make an if. If, and then key, a certain key that we'll use to shoot. So since it's on this side, the tank will use S. Key S. The S key. So if key S pressed, then we want to somehow say to the cannonball to like appear and shoot. So for that, we'll use a broadcast. So broadcast, and then we'll name this tank 1 shoot, because, oh, whoops, tank 1 shoot, because there will be 2 tanks. That's why we're naming it tank 1. Okay, so broadcast tank 1 shoot, go here, and when I receive tank 1 shoot, we want it to just go to, and the cannon is named sprite 1. So we're actually gonna, since we're talking about the names of these, we'll name them what they actually are. So cannon, and then this will be the cannonball. And then make sure it's actually 1 for all of them. So this will be cannon 1. That will be cannonball 1, and this will be tank 1. Because, like I said earlier, we're going to make 2 tanks. So when I receive tank 1 shoot, go to cannon 1, and then we want it at the beginning to hide, but then when I receive this, it will show. And then forever, it will change X by, and then change Y by speed X and speed Y. And we're also going to set them at the beginning. We're going to set each of them to a certain value. So I'm just going to set both of them to 5 for now, and we'll change that later if we need to. So let's test it, and let's try to shoot. And as you can see, the cannonball always goes to the top right corner. It goes to the top right corner because here we change X and Y by 5 always, because we change it by speed x and speed y, and here we set them both to 5. So we want to simulate gravity. So for that, every step it will take, we will just want it to fall, because like once it reaches a point, then it should fall. So for that, we're just going to change speed y by something negative. We'll just try -1, and we can test it. And let's try to shoot, and you can see that it goes up until it reaches a certain point and goes down then. So, but that still doesn't really look realistic. So we will just, what if we try to modify the value, the original value? So we can set them both at the beginning to 10. Maybe that will work. And we can try shooting. That's better, but maybe we can just set the speed y to something bigger. So we'll try 10 for speed x and 20 for speed y. Let's test it, and yeah, that is definitely better. So as you saw, when we changed the values of these variables, the cannonball moved in different directions. So keep that in mind. Next, we want the cannonball to go in the direction that the cannon is pointing. So if we go to the cannon, and we can show the direction that it's going, that is pointing, and we can see that it changes if we move this. So it will go from like 0 to 90. So we will need a way to like transform the direction of the cannon into those two variables, speed y and speed x. So for that, we will need a variable that we'll call tank1 direction, and it's going to be for all sprites because we're going to use it in the cannonball code. So okay, and we will want to set it to a value here right before it broadcasts the message. So set tank1 direction to, and then we're gonna set it to its direction, and we'll go to the cannonball code, and we will want to change these values over here, and we will use some advanced functions that will change the value. So here we're gonna use sine and cosine, and it's going to be the tank1 direction. So sine of tank1 direction and cosine of tank1 direction. And here, let's test it, and we'll try to shoot. And it's doing this because these two functions only go from -1 to 1. So we will just do something times sine of tank1 direction, and same for the other one. Whoops. So here, and we'll multiply them by 10 for now. Now let's test it, and we'll try to shoot, and that is much better. If we want to make it go higher, then we'll just multiply this by something more. So we'll just do 20 for now, 20 times. And let's test it. And we can move the cannon around so we can see that it shoots in any way that the cannon is positioned. Alright, next we will want to try to destroy the building if we hit it. So for that, we're going to simulate it by making a sprite that will basically be it'll be the color of the background, so white, and it'll just appear if we hit the building. So let's make it white, and we're gonna make like a little cloud type of thing, and then fill it in with white. And we're actually gonna make this smaller, because that is way too big. So it's gonna be pretty small, but not too small. Like this is too small. This is too big. This is good. So Next, we want to just like go to the cannonball code, and we're just gonna make an if. So if touching color, and then the building color. If touching the building color, then we'll first want to create a clone of, and it's named sprite1, that the white sprite. So create that, and we're just going to hide it and then stop the cannonball script. So whoops, stop this script. So let's go to the white sprite code, and we'll just say when I start as a clone, we're just gonna want it to show and make sure originally it's hidden. So I start, I show, and then I will go to the cannonball. So go to, and we're actually going to put that before the show. And let's test it. And we can see that it destroys it when I hit. So you can see that the cannonball disappears. So we're actually going to go to the cannonball code and make it go to the front layer. So go to front layer. And next, we will just make an if that's basically going to say if touching the edge, then, so if touching edge, then we want to hide and then stop the script. So if touching edge, hide and stop the script. Let's test it, and when we shoot, it hits that, but then when we shoot on the ground, it just disappears. It hides and then stops this script. Next, we're just going to, first of all, name this. So we'll name it like explosion 1. And second of all, we're just gonna duplicate all of these and make the other tank on the other side. So we'll start off with duplicating the tank, and we'll just duplicate all of them, and then we're going to change some things. So for this one, instead of Z, it will be the left arrow, and instead of X, it will be the right arrow. And then for the cannon, we will want it to go to tank 2, and it's going to change directions with, so instead of Q, it will be up arrow, and instead of A, it will be down arrow, and it will shoot with space. Alrighty, next we want to, here we have a variable, and set tank 1 direction, so we're actually going to make it tank 2 direction. So tank 2 direction for all sprites, and here it's going to be tank 2 direction. And then this broadcast will be tank 2 shoot. Alright, and then go to the cannon ball, and here we're going to go to cannon 2, and we're going to, here it's going to be create clone of, and then it will be explosion 2, and then here it's going to be not tank 1 direction, it will be tank 2 direction. And next we'll go to the explosion code. Actually, wait, if we go back here, it will be when I receive tank 2 shoot. And go to the explosion code, and we'll want it to go to cannonball 2. And that should be it. Now we do want to position this guy down here. So, and obviously, forgot to do this, we'll flip him. We'll flip everything, actually. And we'll center it on the other side. So center it on the right, like that. Alrighty, so next we're just gonna make this originally go here. So go to 190 with negative 150 for the Y, and then, yeah. Yep, maybe a bit lower. So by negative 160, and we will just go to the other tank and make it go to a certain position when it starts. So it will start at negative 190 for the X, and the Y will be negative 160. And let's go ahead and test it. And we're just going to test this one first. So first thing we see is that we can go through the building. That is because here we need to change this and make it 5. And also it shoots the completely opposite way. So the simplest way to fix this is to go to costumes of the cannon, select it and flip it, and then just move it here. Okay, so let's test it, and we can test this cannon first. And the first thing I see that is wrong is it moves with the wrong arrows. When I click the down arrow, it goes up. So we'll change this. This will become up, and this one will become down. And let's test it again. You can see it works. And let's test the other one too. Oh wait, and let's try shooting with this. Yep, it destroys. And then let's try shooting with this one too. And you can see that it destroys as well. So that's good. Next, we are going to make the score variable. So each tank is going to need its own score variable. So we're going to do score. Okay, and then actually we're going to actually name it tank 1 score. And then the second one will make tank 2 score. Alright, so here on the tank 1, we're going at the beginning, we'll set tank 1 score to 0, and then if the cannonball touches the other tank, it will go up by 1, the score. So if touching tank 2, then it will change score tank 1 score by 1, and then it will hide. Alright, so, and then it will, yeah, that's it. So then we're going to just duplicate this if and put it for the other cannonball as well. Oh, whoops. So duplicate the if and put in the other cannonball code. So here it is. Put that there. And so since this is the tank 2 cannonball, it will be if touching tank 1, change tank 2 score by 1 and hide. Alright, now this one we also, at the tank 2, we're going to set tank 2 score to 0. Alright, now let's test it. And let's try to hit the other tank with this. Well, even if it hits it, the score goes up by 1. So we can make it better. We will just make it say something. So we'll make it say, I hit. Okay, so I hit. And we'll do the same for the other tank as well. So say I hit. Alright. Alright, now what we want to do next is just hide all of these variables except the score, obviously. So those are the scores. Oh, here are the other 2 variables. And then the cannon 1 direction will hide as well. There you go. And we'll position tank 1 score on this side and tank 2 score on this side, and we'll make them large. There you go. Large readout, sorry. And yeah, and just go ahead and test it. And here we can test this tank first. It shoots. Well, actually first we can test if it hits. Let's head back a bit. And it says I hit, it hides, and then the game keeps continuing and the score goes up by 1. Let's test if the same thing happens if I hit with this one. it says I hit, score goes up by 1, it hides, and the game keeps going. So that's good. Now let's name this project. I'm gonna name it Tanks Game. And thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you next time for another game we can make on Scratch.